And I remember lying there in absolute uncontaminated darkness for almost 2 hours.
Robert Sabbag is one of 9 survivors from Cape Cod's first commercial airplane crash. 30 years later, he has written a book about that night.
This was a flight from LaGuardia to Hyannis. It was, the plane went down about 11 o'clock at night, and there were 9 survivors, 1 casualty, and we were in the woods for about an hour and a half before rescue arrived. It was a foggy night, and we were in the thick of the woods in Yarmouthport, where the Boy Scout camp is located. It's still there today, Camp Greeno. And we were evacuated from the woods at about, I don't know, I think I got to the hospital about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And in the past 30 years, I hadn't seen or heard from any of my fellow survivors, nor had they heard from each other.
Suzanne Murad was 19 at the time of the crash. She was the only survivor who was not injured. After helping the other passengers out of the plane, Murad went for help.
What stands out to all of us is that when we got out of the plane, we kept looking for the helicopters and looking for the bright lights and listening to the sirens, and there was no noise. So what specifically I think all of us remember is like, oh my God, where is everybody?
Despite the darkness and fog, Murad ran through the dense undergrowth to Route 6, where she was able to flag down a passing motorist. Instead of going to the hospital, she had the driver take her to Barnstable Municipal Airport, where her mother was waiting.
I think that anybody in my shoes would have done that. I was the only unhurt person. Someone had to go for help. Everyone else was much too injured. It wasn't even a choice. Someone had to go for help. We have no idea how long I walked or how far I walked. First of all, I was not walking. I was running. And I kept getting things tangled in me and tripping because the growth was literally up to my waist. And one of the things that struck me when I went back and looked at the old articles of the crash was how dense those woods were.
Sabbag's book explores not only the events of that night, but also how survivors have fared since the crash. He also discusses why he chose now to record this collective memoir.
I think probably the more obvious question is, why hadn't I written about it until now? And I guess the answer is that your initial energy, all your initial energy after something like this is devoted to kind of getting in front of it, to putting it behind you. And so it never occurred to me to write about it, or and in most cases even think about it. And I found that to be the case with most of my fellow survivors as well. But it takes a lot of energy to put it to keep it there. And maybe I just ran out of the energy that it takes to suppress all that. I don't know. It seemed to be the right time to do it, and I don't think there's any question that it would have been a much different book had I written it years ago.